like the idea that the embryo is like a treasure to the scientist. It's precious.
We are dealing with life and unborn people. As a layperson, that's what worries me.
How can we make sure we have sturdy ethical rules that we know this is going to be used for good?
How can we mitigate that risk, which is always there? It's not that I'm panicking, but I do worry.
I think there are a lot of things that need to come with science, and one of them is health and science literacy for the general population.
Scientific definitions are very nuanced and can change indefinitely, whereas legal definitions need to be more defining and last a long period of time.
When does life begin? When does an embryo become human? When does it become a human being? When does it become a unique individual? When does it become conscious? Any lines that you draw are going to be, to some extent, arbitrary, and where you finally decide to draw them must depend on the context, the purpose of your decision.
Scientists exist by courtesy of society. Society pays them, and in return, they have the responsibility of providing its members with information.
It is a mistake to assume that the more people understand about a scientific project and its aims, the less likely they must be to reject it. There is some evidence to the contrary.
Every animal can reproduce itself. Only humankind can choose when and how and whether to reproduce. But who is to make these choices?
It's not good enough to just make do with palliative measures for all the most intractable medical conditions. We must try to cure them.
The new options that are available allow couples more choice, but the other side of that coin is that they require couples to take more decisions.
The risk is that legislation could be passed which would hold back both our understanding of embryonic development in these important early stages and our ability to alleviate infertility and genetic disorders.
When you look at a pregnant woman, you are actually looking at 3 generations. The woman herself, the baby in her uterus, and the germ cells inside that baby's gonads, which are already well developed and playing their part in the germ cycle.
The human egg is 0.1 millimeter in diameter, about the thickness of a piece of paper. After 6 days, the fertilized egg has a diameter of around 0.2 millimeter and is a hollow ball of about 200 to 300 cells.
These computer-generated embryos in the artwork are based on laboratory cultures between 0 and 7 days old, which have been observed using microscopes to better understand human developmental biology. There are multiple versions of each cell type in the artwork. I've used a particle simulation to make them float about as if they're in a petri dish, to allude to the idea that cells are not viable for in vitro fertilization, but are treasured donations used for important research.
I like the idea that the embryo is like a treasure to the scientist. It's precious,